There's infinite repeat. Can I just stop? Jesus Christ. There's infinite repeat. Can I just stop? Jesus Christ. I'm alive!
We're live. We're doing it live.
Doing it live, baby.
Klaus, we're doing it live from my shitty couch.
Yeah.
We're doing a casual episode. This is our second annual Oscar special.
Oh, it is.
Because you love the Oscars.
Ah, it's my favorite thing in the whole goddamn world. Award shows for movies are very legitimate. A great way to celebrate the medium.
Indeed. I enjoy it. I enjoy it watching all the movies every year. Just it gives me something to do.
Yeah.
So I like to watch them all. I'm a big movie buff anyway. At least I like to pretend that I'm a big movie buff.
Movies suck.
But we're going to talk about them anyway.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about all of the Best Picture nominees. And then at the end, I'm going to give you guys my prediction for which one is going to win.
Ah, me too.
My prediction.
I've seen so many of these. I have a lot of very important insights to give on them.
My prediction last year was right. I predicted Parasite. How about that, huh?
You did. Wow. Why?
I predicted Parasite last year.
Mm-hmm.
I was right. I try to repeat that this year. I think I got a good line on it, man.
Okay, you gotta hold on. You can't give it away though.
Not till the end.
Stick around, folks.
Not till the end.
By the end of this MoJoSho Live, you're gonna know what the winner of the Oscars is gonna be, because John's gonna tell you.
That's right. So should we start? Sound of Metal. I thought you were telling me to shut up.
No, I'm pointing
It's
at
right there, yeah. Great movie starring Riz Ahmed. You may remember him. I believe he was in Rogue One, Star Wars Rogue One.
He's very good in it.
Yeah, and his co-star is Olivia Cook. She's been in a bunch of stuff, including that Bates Motel TV show. She was she was Norman's love interest.
Oh.
They play like this metal band duo and also boyfriend-girlfriend, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're touring across the country, and they're like kind of an indie band, so, you know, they play at little clubs around the country.
You should, real quick.
5 minutes later.
They play an indie band.
Mm-hmm.
Indie metal band. Kind of like this doom rock. Like, she's the singer slash, like, whatever, like, bass player, and he plays drums, and they just rock the fuck out for clubs all over the country until he starts going deaf. It's about his journey to kind of accept his new reality.
Okay.
Because for a while, he's in denial, right? He's like, no, I can still do this. We can just do visual cues, and obviously that shit ain't working out, right?
It worked for Beethoven.
Yeah. So Riz Ahmed's character gets hooked up with this kind of, it's like a halfway house almost, but not, you know, for deaf folks, right? And he gets in with this community, and he's still super like salty about it. He's like, this ain't my life. My hearing's gonna come back, and so he's like searching like for surgery or for some sort of method to get his hearing back. And it's about, like I said, his trip back to, you know, accepting his reality.
Yeah.
And it is a really, really great movie, but what I highly recommend anyone who goes in to watch this, what I highly recommend you do is watch it with like earbuds or headphones, because the sound design in this movie is incredible. A lot of it is from his point of view, and you can hear what he hears. I just happened to do that by accident. I was watching the movie on my Apple TV in my living room, and it was late at night, and I didn't want to wake anybody up, so I just popped in my AirPods, which connect to the Apple TV. Best accidental choice I've made. Watch this movie with earbuds, with headphones, whatever. You will not regret it. It definitely amplifies the experience. Moving on. What do you think of Citizen Kane?
I think that it is a movie that is held in very high regard, and often considered by many people to be one of the greatest movies of all time, if not the greatest movie of all time, and I fully intend to see it someday.
Nice. I don't think it's the greatest movie of all time. It deserves the kudos that it gets. Alright, the reason I ask you about Citizen Kane is because we are going to talk about the movie Mank.
Oh.
Which is streaming on Netflix if you want to watch it. It stars Gary Oldman as the titular character.
Ooh, tits.
And he is a co-writer of Citizen Kane. He wrote it along with Orson Welles. So this is a story of Mank as he's working on Citizen Kane and his his adventures. Much of it is him lying in bed, and then like a lot of flashbacks because he had some sort of health ailment thing going on. And it's his inspiration. It shows his inspiration for the movie. It's in black and white. It's very artsy fartsy, but it's a fun watch, man. It's and Gary Oldman is always good. Like, when is Gary Oldman not good? Give it to me. When's he not good?
In that movie where he played a person with dwarfism. You not see? Go ahead, look that up sometime. Hey, folks, look that up sometime. It's...
Hey, don't go ripping off food now. You got ulcers, herniated disc. It's just little people shit.
It's not a good time at all.
Still, awesome in Mank. It's a great movie, but it's a movie that I feel like will only mean something to you if you've seen Citizen Kane recently and have that kind of fresh in your brain. Which I did. I knew Mank was coming out on Netflix like the following week, so I was like, I'm gonna watch Citizen Kane. I haven't seen it in like 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Worthwhile. Good watch. Liked it. It's not gonna win the Oscar. Spoiler.
Oh.
Not gonna win.
We should take a brief break to talk about the fact that our stream is running poorly.
3 weeks later.
I don't know. Mank, more like jank.
What? Next one. I loved Promising Young Woman. This movie stars, what's her name? Carey Mulligan? And she plays the promising young woman.
Oh.
So I love that the story kind of unravels itself. It reveals itself to us, Klaus, over time. So the deal is this woman goes out to clubs and bars, and I'm trying to be delicate on how I phrase this because I don't want to spoil anything. She goes back home with men, and for a while you're like, is she killing these guys? Is she killing them? I think she might be killing them. So anyway, she's obviously got an issue with men, and she's teaching men a lesson. She's like, do not take advantage of drunk women.
About time.
Yeah, she's like, just because we're drunk doesn't mean we want you to do fucked up shit to us, right?
Yeah.
She works at a coffee shop, and you soon learn that she was once a promising young woman, as the title might suggest. Why is she wasting her life away, living at home, and working at this coffee shop? Well, it's because shit went down in her past, and she's a little fucked up, and she's on a mission. She's on a mission until she meets a lovely young man played by Bo Burnham, who stands at, I think he's 8'7". Bo Burnham, this guy, yeah, he's tall. He's a tall guy, and he's charming, and he kind of cracks that, that shell, that protective shell, and they start this relationship, and it goes down that road until things. It's a very entertaining movie. It's could be a triggering movie for some folks, so just, warning about that. I watched it not knowing a single thing about it before I went in. I just saw it on, like, potential Oscar contenders list, and I was like, all right, I'll give it a go. Is this okay to say? It's like the ultimate female revenge story.
It turns out you're not allowed to say that, John. You're canceled!
The Father. This is the very last movie that I saw. Just watched it the other night. Anthony Hopkins. I wasn't super excited to see it because based on what I read about it, I'm like, this just seems like Oscar bait.
I've heard that it's kind of a depressing movie, which, great year for a depressing movie. That's what I'm clamoring for more of. Yes, please.
It's depressing as fuck. But I still encourage folks to watch it if they have the opportunity.
Oh yeah, I mean it's Sir Anthony Hopkins.
He puts on an acting clinic in this thing. He should win everything. The movie is about a man played by Anthony Hopkins who is in the early stages or in some stages of dementia. And it's kind of the story about the relationship between himself and his daughter, played by Olivia Colman, who I believe is in The Crown. I think she may have played the Queen in The Crown. I don't know. Much of it is told from his perspective. So the movie is purposely disorienting. There are different time jumps, things happen, and you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any fucking sense. But then after a moment, you're like, oh, you're right, it doesn't make any sense. So all these things are kind of snipped together, right? It's heartbreaking, especially if you know someone or there's a loved one that you maybe know or knew who went through dementia. But you also get like this kind of understanding. Like, oh, I wonder if this is what it must have been like, you know?
Yeah.
It's a great movie. It's an hour and a half, so it's one of the shorter movies on this list.
That's approachable.
Yeah, so it's not like you got to sit through 3 hours of just like heart-wrenching shit. Wonderful movie. Currently not on any streaming services. I think it's $20 to rent or something. Good movie though, really good movie. Let's talk about Judas and the Black Messiah. So this one stars Daniel Kaluuya, who I believe was on Get Out, and it also stars Lakeith Stanfield. Stanfield. That's the name. Lakeith Stanfield. He's in Atlanta. He plays I think Darius in Atlanta, and he's like my favorite character in that show. But it is based on the true story of Black Panther, like one of the Black Panther leaders, Fred Hampton, in Chicago, and a guy named Bill O'Neill, played by Lakeith Stanfield. Bill O'Neill was a guy he was kind of like a petty criminal, but he was hired by the FBI to infiltrate the Black Panthers. So, Judas and the Black Messiah, right? They're your title characters. Also co-starring what's his name? Jesse Plemons, that guy.
Oh,
everybody loves Jesse Plemons. For a while, they were calling him the poor man's Matt Damon.
Yeah,
right?
I can't get enough of it.
And he plays the FBI agent who, whatever. So, takes place in, late 60s Chicago. A lot of racial shit going on, as you would imagine. Fascinating story, though. Full of intrigue and suspense. And, once again, incredible acting. Daniel Kaluuya, I believe, won the Golden Globe for Best Actor. So he's up for Oscar, I think, for Best Actor as well. Just a great movie, just thrilling from start to finish. Like I said, based on a true story, so it kind of makes you want to learn a little bit more about Fred Hampton and his family. Next up, we're going to talk about another movie that takes place kind of in the same era, also in Chicago, The Trial of the Chicago 7. This one is available to stream on Netflix. This one stars Sacha Baron Cohen, Borat of Borat fame.
Oh,
and
my wife. Remember?
And I remember. And Eddie Redmayne, who's been in things.
I like Eddie Redmayne quite a bit.
Yeah, and they play kind of like they butt heads a lot. Each of them are a member of the Chicago 7 who are on trial. Sacha Baron Cohen plays the more rambunctious, flamboyant, attention seeker, as were Eddie Redmayne's the very stodgy, serious, I'm in this for a cause and I'm going to be very studious. The person who steals this movie is Frank Langella.
Oh.
who plays the doddering old judge who's senile and making goofy decisions and can't remember shit from start to finish. This is, again, based on a true story. After the Democratic Convention, the infamous Democratic Convention in Chicago, where the cops just beat the fuck out of like all the protesters, and where have we seen that? But anyway, and so it's based on a true story, but I feel like liberties were probably a lot of liberties taken.
I'm certain.
Yeah, it's a courtroom drama. It's a courtroom drama, and a very entertaining one. Very entertaining one. Sacha Baron Cohen, he's there for the laughs. Like he provokes the judge like crazy, and it reminds me. It's not a comedy, but it's got that My Cousin Vinny vibe to it in certain spots, where he's like poking the judge, you know, fucking saying ridiculous shit just to get at the judge, and the judge is like, oh, I will not have this, you know, and you're like, oh, fuck that judge, you know. It's got a bit of My Cousin Vinny vibe to it in that regard. It's a super entertaining movie. People are like, oh, this is a sleeper choice for Best Picture. I don't think it's gonna win. Finally, we're going to talk about Nomadland. I believe this one won Best Picture at the Golden Globes. It is on Hulu streaming if you want to watch it. It stars Frances McDormand, who's lovely in everything she does. She's wonderful.
Oh, wait, I do know this was about, and I'll shut up again so you can tell people.
All right. So this is, she plays a woman who is houseless, living in her van, and it seems like by choice to a certain extent. Her husband passed away, and I think I've seen this a couple months ago, so I'm trying my best to remember at least some of the details. They lived in basically like a company town, laid off, husband passed away, so she's like, fuck all this shit. She gets a van, lives in it, and as one would imagine by the name of the movie, she's kind of a nomad. She drives around and she lives kind of with these nomadic communities that apparently are a thing in the United States. And they have like, they live in campgrounds, they live in state land and things like that. And it's not necessarily because they're poor, which they are, but it's just because this is the way they choose to live.
Yeah.
They want to live off the grid. They work seasonally at Amazon to get some money. Yeah, and then the rest of the year they kind of just pick up odd jobs at state parks or tourist destinations and whatnot. It's a very quiet movie with lots of space between, you know, scenes and not tons of dialogue. This is the movie, Klaus, that I was referring to earlier, where I was like, what's the big fucking deal? You know, like, I get it. I get what the movie's about. I appreciate it. I wasn't floored after I saw it. Frances McDormand does an amazing job. She'll probably win Best Actress. But after it was done, I was like, all right. Are you ready for my choice? For my prediction for Best Picture?
5 minutes later.
You know what? We're gonna have to edit. We skipped Minari. Oh, fuck! That's when the computer took a shit.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go back.
Zip, zip, zip.
All right, let's talk about Minari. Minari stars Stephen Yeun, which you last saw getting his, whom you last saw getting his brains bashed in on Walking Dead. Spoiler for, like, 7 seasons ago.
Spoiler for a show that hasn't been good since season 1.
Ever.
Yeah, the first half of season 1.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's a piece of shit show. Anyway, Stephen Yeun, as you may know as Glenn from Walking Dead, and he plays a Korean immigrant living with his family in rural Arkansas, of all places. And so the movie begins with him moving his family into a trailer in the middle of a wide open plot of land because he is going to become a farmer and sell his produce, and that's his goal. His wife, not happy about this shit, man. She's like, what the fuck? And his two kids, who are delightful in this movie, are also like, what are we doing here? They don't have any stairs on the front of their, you know, their trailers on blocks, and they don't have any stairs, so they got to like lift the kids up in there, and so they're starting from scratch here. This movie doesn't go where you think it goes, where you would think it goes. You're like, oh, Korean immigrant family in the 80s, living in rural Arkansas. Obviously, there's going to be some hillbillies fucking with them, right? No, there's none of that. That's cliche. But honestly, that's where I thought it was going to go. I mean, there's a little bit of like, what are you guys all about? But you know, there's no like, let's get them immigrants. You know, there's none of that dynamic in this. So don't worry about that.
Good.
It's a really good family story. It tells a really good story of the immigrant experience in the United States in the 80s, and the struggle of trying to achieve that dream that immigrants have, you know, or might have when they move here, and they're like, we're going to start a new life, we're going to do this, and kind of the family dynamic of like maybe when mom and dad don't agree on what their plan should be, right? Stealing the show, though, is the son, played by Alan Kim. He's adorable, he's hilarious, charming as hell. He's in the movie. He's got a heart condition, so they're very delicate with him. But he is wonderful. Grandma moves in. She comes to stay with the family, and Grandma is terrific in this movie. So the dynamic between Grandma and the little boy played by Alan Kim. Oh, Klaus, it's heartwarming.
I gotta tell you, out of all the movies we've talked about,
yeah,
this is the one that I'm actually most interested in watching, at least at this moment in time. Like, this feels like a movie that I really want to sit down and watch as well. Promising Young Woman as well, but this is right up there. Some of the other ones I definitely want to see, but I think I'm going to have to be in like the right mood for
Yeah,
it.
you mean the ones we're going to watch or talk about?
Yeah,
in just a moment?
That's what's going to happen. This is just the third. Why does this this could appear anywhere. This could be the last one we talk about. Just because it's the third one on your fucking list doesn't mean it's like, this is the third. The Oscars have determined this is movie 3. You dumb shit.
Oh.
Previously on WandaVision.
Ah!
If you were to take a guess, what do you think it would be?
I'm going to say Judas and the Black Messiah.
Nailed it. This is the best movie I saw all year. I loved it. I am a revolutionary.